fusing the 12 ayatana, 6 sense organs and 6 sense data. Eyes and form. Again, Ananda, the 12 ayatana are fundamentally the same as the absolute of the Tathagata Store. Ananda, just look at the grove and stream in Jetavana Park. Is it form that creates the eye seeing, or vice versa? If the organ of sight creates form, when you see the void, which is not form, form would vanish, which means that nothing would exist. Then if form is no more, what can be used to reveal the void? It is the same with the void. If form produces the eye seeing, when you see the void which is not form, your seeing would vanish, which means that nothing would exist. Then who distinguishes the void from form? Therefore you should know that neither seeing nor form nor the void has a place of abode, and that form and seeing are false, and are neither causal nor conditional nor self-existent. Ears and sound. Ananda, in Jetavana Park, when you hear a drum beat to announce a meal and a bell rung to summon the bhikshus, these sounds succeed one another. Do they come to the ears, or do the ears go to them? Ananda, if they come to the ears, it is like when I go to Shravasti to beg for food and am absent from Jetavana Park. If these sounds come to Ananda's ears, Madgalaputra and Kasyapa should not hear them. Then why do all the 1,250 bhikshus, when they hear the bell, go together to the eating hall? If your ears go to the sound, it is like when I return to Jetavana Park and am not in Shravasti. Then, when you hear the drum, if your ears go to it, you should not hear the bell, which rings at the same time, nor the sound of elephants, horses, buffaloes, and sheep in this park. If there is no such coming and going, there would be no hearing. Therefore, you should know that hearing and sound have no location, and that both are false, being neither causal, nor conditional, nor self-existent. Nose and smell. Ananda, just smell the smoke of sandalwood in this burner. The quantity burnt is small, but its fragrance spreads to Shravasti and the neighborhood. Do you think that this perfume comes from the sandalwood, from your nose, or from the void? Ananda, if it comes from your nose, it should be produced by and spread from it. But since your nose is not sandalwood, how can there be this fragrance there? If you say that you smell perfume, it should be inhaled into your nose, but since it emanates from it, as aforesaid, it is wrong to say that you smell it. If it comes from the void, the latter being permanent, this fragrance should be so as well, and there would be no need to burn dry sandalwood. If it comes from the sandalwood, its fragrant substance has become smoke by burning, and if your nose smells this perfume, your nose should be full of smoke. As smoke rises in the air, how can it be smelt in distant places even before it reaches them? Therefore, you should know that odor, nose, and smelling have no fixed location, and that smelling and odor are false, being neither causal, nor conditioned, nor self-existent. Tongue and taste. Ananda, twice a day you go out to beg for food, and occasionally are given butter and cream, which are tasty delicacies. Do you think that this taste comes from the void, your tongue, or the food? Ananda, if it comes from your tongue, the latter has already become butter, and since you have only one tongue, how can you then taste honey? If you do not, this means that your taste does not change. Then how can it be called tasting? If it changes, and since your tongue is of one substance, how can this single tongue know various tastes? If it comes from the food, the latter cannot know, then how can it taste itself? Assuming that it knows itself, it and other food will have nothing to do with your tasting. If it comes from the void, when you bite the air, what does it taste like? Assuming that it comes from the void, when the latter tastes salt as your tongue is salty, your face should be so too. If so, all men would be like fish in the sea. If you are salty, you will not know what is tasteless. If you do not know what is tasteless and do not taste salt, you will have no taste. Then how can there be taste? Therefore, you should know that neither taste, nor tongue, nor tasting has location, and that tasting and taste are false, being neither causal, nor conditional, nor self-existent. Body and touch. Ananda, you are accustomed to rub your head with your hand every day early in the morning. When feeling this rub, do you know whether that which rubs is your hand or your head? If it is your hand, then your head, an object, should not feel that it is being rubbed. If so, how can there be touch? If it is your head, there would be no need for your hand to rub it. Then how can you call it touch? If both hand and head are subjects, then you, Ananda, should have two bodies. If it comes from the contact of your hand with your head, then both your hand and head should be one, and one thing cannot contact itself. If it is two, that is, hand and head, from which does it arise? For subject and object differ. Neither can there be touch when your head comes into contact with the void. Therefore, you should know that neither the feeling of touch nor your body has location, and that they are false, being neither causal, nor conditional, nor self-existent. Intellect and Dharma. Ananda, because of good, evil, and neutral causes, your intellect or manas always gives rise to Dharma. Are these Dharma created by the mind, or do they exist apart from it and have their own place? Ananda, if they are the same as the mind, they cannot be its objects, for they are not its causal phenomena. Then how can they have a place of their own? If they exist apart from the mind and have their own place, do they possess the faculty of knowing or not? If they do, they are merely the mind. But since they have the faculty of knowing and differ from you, they should not be your Dharma, but should belong to someone else's mind. If they have the faculty of knowing and are your Dharma, at the same time, they are merely your mind. Then how can you have another mind as well as your own? If they differ from you and do not have the faculty of knowing, where are they, since they are not inanimate phenomena such as form, sound, smell, and flavor, nor cold and warmth due to contact or separation, as well as to the void? Since they cannot be shown in either form or the void, there should not be in the universe another voidness outside the void. Assuming that there is another outer voidness, they cannot be the mind's causal phenomena. Then where are they? Therefore, you should know that neither Dharma nor mind has location, and that intellect and Dharma are both false, being neither causal, nor conditional, nor self-existent.